town meeting to order. We begin with the pledge of allegiance to the flag. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You did that as a day trip?
No.
No. It'd be a quick trip.
I'll tell you more after.
Yeah.
If you'd like a paper copy.
Roll call of the members. Have you got that, Peter?
Oh, yeah, we have, so David Kent,
Yeah.
Stephanie Halter,
Here.
Malik Hammond,
Here.
Tom McLaughlin,
He's absent.
Peter Julia.
Present.
Review of the minutes. Not much there.
No.
We have to decide upon reviewing the minutes. A portion of the minutes involved meeting with the town attorney, and we have to decide whether we want to have that sealed or leave it open to the public. I would appreciate anybody's thoughts. If you need a copy, Peter's
Was
got one here.
I can share. I've read them.
You want to as well?
Right.
I haven't. Thank you.
Yes, that's this.
Or David, do you remember what did the attorney suggest us?
Pardon me?
Did the attorney suggest we seal them?
As I remember.
That's a.
And I can just, so the guidance from New Hampshire Municipal Association, I did pull that just to refresh. So there are 3 reasons, for permissible reasons under state statute to seal the minutes, and one of them does have to be cited in a decision to seal. Though it only has to be one of the 3, not all. The first being disclosure would adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member of the board. The second, disclosure would render the proposed action ineffective. Or third, the discussion in the minutes pertains to terrorism. So I think it's sort of a, in a motion to seal. I think that, one of those being cited.
There were comments made about the applicant. Perhaps ought not be public. That would be my take.
Agreed.
You agree?
Yeah.
Let's gotta go back.
So that would fit under Joseph's first one, reputation,
All right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna collect
So-
them. Do you feel the same way? Peter?
Yeah, I think I was abstinent. I mean, I was here, but I abstained from voting because I wasn't here for the original
You weren't
one.
here for the original.
Right.
Right, but you were here for the,
I was here for that.
For that one.
That's correct. And I do concur with you for discussion of that evening. Yes.
Okay, Malik?
Malik, you agree?
Agreed.
Okay, so we'll turn our copies into, we gotta, somebody make a motion that they
We'll
remain
make a
sealed.
motion that they remain sealed.
I'll second.
Made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 By roll call vote, it's affirmative. However, the public portion of the minutes need to be approved.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written from the public portion of the meeting.
I'll second.
Made and seconded that we approve the minutes as distributed for the public session of the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. It's unanimous. Applications and public hearings. There is an application that was filed. Do you want us to bring up to date on what's happening, or has happened, or will be happening in this?
Sure, absolutely. So the planning department received an application for a special exception to convert a single-family dwelling into a two-family dwelling on the property at 31 River Ridge Road, which is in the River Ridge subdivision. As per typical procedure, we proceeded with noticing a public hearing on the request. So notice has been distributed to abutters in public places, etc., with regards to the request for a special exception to convert a single-family dwelling into a two-family dwelling. So that's what the initial materials do reflect. We did receive, and it should be in your packet, a communication from the applicant asking if the board would be in acceptance to allowing the amendment of the application instead of a special exception to convert a single family to a two-family, to proceed with a special exception to develop an accessory dwelling unit. So since notice was already posted that this would be a request for a two-family, if the board is in acceptance of proceeding with it as amended, so as a accessory dwelling unit, new notice would have to be sent out to the abutter. So it would have to go on to next meeting, just because the specific use that was noted in the notices of public hearing was two-family. So there are a couple of differences between those two uses, and I've printed out a couple of pages from the zoning ordinance that describe them. Broadly speaking, a two-family dwelling is a structure that contains two dwelling units. That's pretty much where it leaves it. There is no limitation on size. There's no limitation on ownership, rental. But as a result, there is a additional amount of lot size required for a two-family, and they do have a slightly larger parking requirement. On the other hand, accessory dwelling unit is the addition of a second dwelling unit to a property with a single-family home. However, it's subject to some limitations, which are spelled out in section 416, but broadly speaking, they are limited to less than 1,000 square feet, less than 2 bedrooms, and they have a restriction that one of the two units, either the primary or the accessory dwelling, has to be owner-occupied. So accessory dwelling units have a few more restrictions. As a result, they also don't require additional land area, and they don't require as much additional parking as a two-family. So they are two slightly different uses, even though they function similarly. The original application was under a two-family, and it was slightly larger than the 1,000 square foot that an accessory dwelling unit would allow. The proposed amendment to the application would change the proposed use that is being requested to an accessory dwelling unit, and would reduce the size of the dwelling unit to under 1,000, as proposed and as outlined in the letter. So the applicant has attended the meeting as well, and perhaps can discuss it with the board in some more detail, but they are two slightly different uses. Both require a special exception in the single-family residential zone. So in either case, we would need to notice a public hearing on the request, and the board would need to determine if they meet the criteria, the same special exception criteria. But just because a hearing was noticed for a particular use, an amendment to a different use would require new notices.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing. Is the other applicants? Is there anything you'd like to say about what Peter has put forward? Joseph. Sorry, Joseph.
It's okay.
That pretty much summarized it. We live in a homeowners association, and part of our covenants speak to a single-family dwelling. And so we wanted to change our application to stay within the parameters of the covenants, and reduce the size of the dwelling to an ADU instead.
Okay. Is there any questions by board members?
Beyond the covenants agreement, is there any other motivation?
We had some abutters who are with us tonight who expressed concern about the possibility of a two-family dwelling. And we love our neighborhood, and we care for our neighbors, and figured that this was an easier solution to reduce the size of the dwelling, to stay within the parameters of the covenants, and make neighbors feel more comfortable.
Sure.
Anyone else want to speak on this issue? Right there.
James Goundry at 33 one of the only direct abutters, I guess. So I just, yeah, the two-family, it automatically perked up because the covenants had been reviewed so much over the past couple of years, and I think a lot of people felt the same way. And the ADU, like the HOA, hasn't really had a chance to deal with it, so we have to kind of deal with what that means for the covenants and what it means for the ability to restrict, detached or not. So we kind of need a consensus there. So I just came to see the process here and just let you know that the HOA was going to kind of inform all the members. There's 20-something houses, even though they're not direct abutters, but sort of come to a consensus about what it means for the neighborhood. To, obviously we trust the Haymans. We just, if anything ever happened, who else would live there? That's kind of the policy that we're thinking about. So that's all I have to say at this time.
Ma'am? Your name too, please?
I'm Kristen Snow. I'm at 29 River Ridge Road. I'm the other abutter, but there's like a ravine in between on the other side of the roads. I also was concerned when I got it about a two-family home. I bought this house about 2 years ago, and I specifically liked this neighborhood because it was single-family homes of this particular size and a residential community. I really didn't want to get into a neighborhood with, two-family, three-family homes with a lot of coming and going and rentals. And so when I saw the two-family notice, I didn't like that. I did tell Meg that our covenants did not allow a two-family home or a three-car garage. We're limited to two-car garages. So I have spoken with her about that. I understand that she's updated. I don't really know about how accessory dwelling units would fit under our covenants. It doesn't specifically say one way or the other. I guess my concern would be in a single-family residential neighborhood, I don't want the feeling of the 28 houses that are there to change. The point is that it's single-family housing. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to respond in any way? No. Okay. Any discussion by the board?
Well, is the public meeting closed? Or is
It's
this,
still open.
the discussion with them is still open?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
Okay. I'll wait.
As far as tonight, just for clarification, we are only deciding if we want to accept the adjustment to an ADU?
That is what the applicant has requested. The board does have the application that is theoretically been submitted was for a two-family, but what the applicant has requested is that the board allow it to be changed to an application for an accessory dwelling.
We could, if we wanted to, deny the application, have them refile for the ADU.
But they'd have to repay the fees.
They have to repay the fee, they have to renotice the people. But the stipulation, if we decided to allow them to amend it, would be that they'd have to renotice the abutters, so that they'd be aware that they should or could come to the July meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not deciding on the application or the merits, it's really just
No.
whether to amend it.
Okay, closing the public hearing.
The rules of the housing association don't apply.
That's
We really only rule
on what's up, the application of our statute and the
the
zoning
town zoning.
amendments.
Okay, just clarifying.
Were you gonna make a motion, Stephanie?
I was gonna wait and see if there's any more discussion first.
We can do it either way, yeah.
Any others? All right, I'll motion then to permit the amendment to the application for, to change it from a two-family dwelling to an ADU, right?
With the
And-
stipulation that
With the stipulation
notice to the abutters
that they make notice to the members
of the meeting,
of
correct?
the meeting in July, which would be July
Second.
Second, I think.
Second?
Seconded.
Made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call for a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. It's unanimous. I so declare. So that will be taken up at the July meeting. And in terms of you, your neighbors, and the homeowners association, that's for you to ferret out on your own. It's conceivable you could get permission from the board, and yet the homeowners association might object, in which case you'd have to fight it out with them. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item of business. Any unfinished business, Peter?
I do have another business item that the planning board has noted that in the past couple of years, there have been joint meetings with the zoning board, and they did want to extend another invitation to the zoning board to either have zoning board members attend at the planning board's regularly scheduled meeting time next month, or perhaps the planning board members could come to the zoning board's meeting time, if that's something that the board would like to do again at this point in the year. The planning board, their next work session is, well, no, it's not July 4th, apologies. It is the week following July 4th, so July 11th. And then the zoning board meeting for that month is July 2nd. So in either, if the board was interested, either of those, the planning board.
Well, we're
Could use
definitely
it.
gonna be meeting on the 2nd.
You prefer to have it on the second? I would too. Do you care?
I'd rather not on the second, but
On the second?
we're tied into it
We're
anyways.
tied into it now.
So yeah,
We're tied into it now.
really, yeah.
I mean, right before the 4th, right, is kind of a
Yeah.
tough, yeah.
Well, I'd suggest, Joseph, that you write them an invitation for the second.
Sounds good. I will
We're gonna be
mention
here
it.
Anyway, and
Yeah, I'll mention it.
plan on a long meeting.
Yep.
And last time we met during their meeting, and I know that they meet more regular than we do, so if it's an inconvenience,
And their meetings
sure,
go
we can make
on
the
and on and
11th
on.
happen, but
There's,
Sure.
from my standpoint, there's more of them and they meet more frequently, so if it's more more
Burdensome for
advantageous for
them.
us to join their meeting, I'm absolutely
agreed.
fine with that.
But if they can make the 2nd happen, I know it's right before the holiday though, so if that doesn't work for them, it doesn't work.
Okay, well, I will let them know at their work session then, which is this coming Thursday, that the zoning board has expressed interest in the zoning board meeting of July 2nd. And then I suppose after that, the next scheduled meeting of either board after that is July 11th, which is the planning board's scheduled work session. So with that as sort of a second option, perhaps?
Thank you, Joseph, for putting all together all these materials for us.
Kill another tree. Okay, I don't believe there's any other business, Joseph?
No other business that I have.
Is this plan the reformed plan or the original plan?
The one that is clipped to their letter is the revision.
It's the revision.
Yep, that's correct.
So we can study that between now and July.
Mhm. Yeah, the revised, what they've requested their revision to look like is all stapled or clipped together with the plan, a revised application, and that letter.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
And then the other handouts, will they not change, you think?
I can revise the staff report in the meantime. I'll probably
You
make a
need
few
to.
changes
I'll
just
try
to.
to hold on to this one in case it
Yeah.
doesn't.
I expect it will be pretty similar, but I'll make a few tweaks to reflect the change to the application. So, but the general information about the neighborhood, pictures, things like that will probably stay the same, but I'll make a slight revision.
Well, you do an excellent job, Joseph, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Can I ask a curiosity question also? Are there tax implications between ADU and versus two-family dwellings?
You know, that is a good question, and I unfortunately do not have the answer to that. I would imagine the answer is yes, given the fact that a two-family allows for both units to be rented out, whereas an accessory dwelling unit is restricted to only one of the two units may be rented out. Alternatively, a two-family theoretically could be condominiumized and owned separately. Of course, that would need subdivision approval, but I would assume that is the case, but I don't know. I'd have to check with the assessor.
Well, I can tell you. The way the tax system works is not based on the capitalization approach. Doesn't make a difference if they make money or don't make money. It is based on the square footage of the living area and comparable sales of property, similar sales that it can be compared to. Well, similar buildings would have income, and therefore people might pay more for them, and therefore it would, not only on the square footage basis, but on the comparison method, it would also tend to increase the value of the property, and the result would be a higher assessment
For a two-family over an ADU?
for an ADU as well.
Well, yeah, obviously over,
Both are
But,
gonna
um,
increase their taxes.
yeah,
Yeah,
I meant specifically between the two.
is one over a little
Yeah.
bit more than the other.
Well, it's going to be a little less square footage,
Yeah.
and that might make it a little less desirable to rent, and therefore maybe the rents would be lower. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you say when you were introducing it, Joseph, it has to be less than 2 bedrooms?
No more than two
More than
bedrooms.
2
No more than 2 bedrooms. Yeah, and they have indicated in the plan that it is 1 bedroom with a second bedroom / office. So it is. It is.
Use both ways. Okay, well, thank you. Stephanie, did you do it?
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Meeting is closed.
Great, thank you, David.
All right.
We went to Edgecombe.